Hello, everyone. This is Sherman at Mission Central. I'm the manager of agency collaboration here, and we're once again interviewing a missionary as part of our Missions is Not Cancelled campaign. And so today we're very, very privileged to have with us Raija-Liisa from MedAir. And she's going to share a little bit about her story and her role, as well as the ministry of MedAir. So I'd like to, again, want to welcome Raija-Liisa today, and she's actually joining us live from Damascus, Syria. And so let's turn the time over to Raija-Liisa.
Yeah, hi to Mission Central Serve Conference, coming to you live from Damascus.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So I'd like to begin by just asking you to share with our audience a little bit about yourself and your role with MedAir.
Sure. So I have been, as Sherman said, my name is Raija-Liisa. I have been with working in the humanitarian sector for several years. Worked in Afghanistan and Iraq and Haiti, and then now most recently in Syria. I joined MedAir in 2018, and I worked in Iraq first, and then came to Syria about a year ago, and then just took on the country director role in June. So that means I'm in charge of kind of the whole program that happens in Syria for MedAir. We have in Syria, we have 4 different bases. We have our Damascus country office, which is basically the place where the leadership sits and where our technical advisors sit, and we kind of support the other program bases. So, and then we have program bases up in Aleppo, which reaches into other governorates. So governorate in Syria is the same as a province in Canada. So Aleppo reaches into the Idlib and Hama governorates. And then we have our Deir ez-Zor base, which reaches into the Deir ez-Zor governorate, as well as just now reaching into the Raqqa governorate, hopefully this next year. That's still to be finalized, but that's what we're working towards. And then we have another program based in Damascus that reaches South Syria to the governorates of Quneitra and Daraa. We do programming in the WASH sector, which is water and sanitation and hygiene. And we do that through rehabilitating community level networks. So trying to get people connected back to water lines that have been damaged by the crisis, rehabilitating the pumps that were damaged, things like that. We help people store water by distributing household water tanks to those who have no way to store the water that they are able to access through the water networks. And then in our basic needs assistance sector, we do distributions of non-food items, things like blankets, our winterization kits, which are carpets and heaters. We do female hygiene kits, which reach vulnerable women who are of reproductive age. And right now, also in the COVID season, we are doing COVID hygiene packs as well to people, especially who are high risk. So elderly, people who have chronic illness, or people who are disabled, to help them be able to care for their homes and to keep their homes sanitized and cleaned. So, and then our final sector that we work in is the health sector. We do the rehabilitation of clinics that have been damaged by the crisis or haven't been working since the crisis. And we re-equip them with equipment that is needed, as well as working with the local Department of Health to do soft support and capacity building in their health workers, as well as a community engagement program. So our community health workers go into the communities that we serve, and they do health messaging. Especially right now during COVID season, that health messaging has happened mainly over the phone. So yeah, so those are the 3 areas that we work in, and the areas, the geographical areas that we work in Syria with MedAir.
Wow, that's a lot of places and a lot of
Yeah,
activities. I want to just take a
yeah.
moment here, and I'm just going to share my screen with our audience. And so uh, that was a kind of a little bit to take in, but
Yeah, a
uh,
lot.
folks, if you're interested in the Ministry of MedAir, all you have to do is go to medair.org, and you can definitely
Hmm.
learn more about the ministry. You can learn about who they are, and obviously also be able to learn about what they do as well. And there's
Yeah.
definitely many different types of opportunities to be able to serve in this way if this is something that you feel God is calling you to. So maybe just to take a bit of a
Hmm.
backtrack a little bit, can you tell us a little bit about MedAir, the history of it, and how it came to be, and you know, and the regions that you know it specifically serves in?
Yeah, sure. So MedAir has been in existence since 1989. It was formed by three different kind of faith-based organizations coming together and saying we really need to respond to um, the crises that are happening around the world, whether it's conflict or whether it's natural disaster. So yeah, since 1989. So MedAir is an international humanitarian organization, and we're inspired by our Christian faith to relieve human suffering in some of the world's most remote and devastated places. We try to go where people don't go, and we try to go to the difficult the areas, the places that we are currently working in. We're working in several countries. We're working in Syria, in Jordan, in Lebanon, in Sudan, in South Sudan, in DR Congo, in Madagascar, in Somalia, in Yemen, in Afghanistan, in Bangladesh. And we're currently have a team in Honduras actually looking at the response to the storms there and seeing if there's a way that MedAir can respond there as well. So
Wow.
those are the areas that we work in, and yeah, and how long we've been around for.
Well, that's awesome. And so, what kind of backgrounds in terms of professions that normally serve with MedAir?
So we have a pretty broad range of things that you can either specialize in, or I'm more of a generalist. So I know a little bit about a bunch of things, but don't necessarily specialize in one thing. Jack of all trades more than anything. But the things that we really specialize in are WASH. So we are looking at water engineers or civil engineers, shelter rehabilitation, also civil engineering. We doctors and nurses. We also, in our support functions, need people who have experience in logistics, people who have experience in human resources, people who have experience in finance. That's a big one. Really, our main sectors are health, wash, and shelter or infrastructure. So any professions that are kind of feeding into that realm are definitely needed in MedAir, as well as the support functions of finance, HR, and logistics are huge needs, because without those support functions, really our programs don't function.
Yeah, the reason I asked that question is as I've had conversation with different young professionals, and especially young professionals who are very interested in
Mm-hmm.
humanitarian type work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it helps us to understand as well what are the
Yeah.
needs and how you know young professionals who have engineering backgrounds, nursing, medicine,
Mm-hmm.
structure, logistics, how all those also do play into
Yeah.
the kind of work that you do. And uh, and yes, there are very many different types of humanitarian efforts throughout the world. I think, but obviously, MedAir is one of those uniquely based because it's not just humanitarian; it's humanitarian with a faith foundation. And I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
our young Christian professionals would prefer to do something like that,
Yeah.
that is faith based, or be involved in something like that that is faith based.